Howdy, everybody. Good morning. I'm an Aggie. I got to say howdy. Got the boots and everything, right? Got to live the part. Gig 'em. We'll not talk about last week's game against Alabama. We covered the spread. So I'll do introductions to myself here in a second. But the topic, if those of you following along here, we're going to talk about architectures with great big paintbrush ideas. And we're going to have an opportunity to spend about half of the time having some honored guests with both Candidator and KPMG talking about reality. So this isn't going to be entirely just a PowerPoint presentation, although you bet you're going to get some PowerPoint, of course, right? So we'll talk about that a little bit. But very importantly, we're going to spend about half the time with live and reality. And if you notice, there's some microphones here that we encourage you during the interview session when we get to that. If you do have questions, feel free to come up. And when Michael is doing that part of the session, we'll make sure that we call that out. We do want it to be interactive. So to set the stage real quick, my name is Steve McMaster. I've been with Dell for about 19 years in a number of different roles. At the end of the day, I always think of myself as honestly, as a sales guy, is trying to find customer goals, problems, and needs, and how can we address those with solutions, and from a Dell EMC perspective. And my current alignment that I have is when we get into Microsoft and Microsoft complexity, beyond just a server and a SAN and the traditional architectures we think of, that's really where I spend my time. So when we talk about multi-node and hyper-converged and Microsoft's WSSD platform that runs off of Spaces Direct and the enablement that's happening with Cloud Edge on Windows Server 19, I spend my time there, as well as the stretch out to Azure Stack and the idea that we have around true hybrid cloud of literally running Azure behind the firewall. So that entire portfolio idea, and then very importantly, the reality that you got to run something on this. And so I spend quite a bit of time specifically around SQL. There's huge opportunity that we all have around addressing SQL. And the announcement, I think it was on Monday, right? They actually called out what vNext is, right? What are they going to call it? SQL what? Yeah. Innovative name, right? But it's SQL, every year they're coming out with something new. It's 2014 and all of a sudden 16 and then 17. And now every year SQL's coming out with something new. And goodness gracious, trying to keep up with it all. And what we're trying to do from a Dell EMC perspective is, how can we make that easier for you? Both from a Dell EMC perspective and then working very closely and directly with our partners, of which we'll be talking about in this session today. Okay, so everybody that attended Satya's keynote address on Monday saw this slide or a version of this slide. I grabbed this from Inspire, so the Worldwide Partner Conference at the beginning of July. And I love to start with this slide, especially from a Dell perspective, because if we think about Microsoft and how Microsoft has transitioned over the last few years, there's deep investment into cloud. And when we think of cloud, most times I think from a Microsoft perspective, well, that's Azure and that's 365. And for the longest time, that's been, hey, everything's going up into public cloud. And then last year, from a Dell EMC perspective, we've been talking about hybrid for a long time. And what does hybrid mean and what does cloud mean? And if I ask all of you, every one of you will have a different answer, and you'll all be right. And from a Dell perspective, cloud is an idea. It's not necessarily a place. And Microsoft embraced that idea with hybrid cloud with Azure Stack. That was last year. You saw a lot of focus on that. It's a fantastic solution. We're going to talk about that a lot today. And then when you see what Microsoft has now for their touchstone kind of an idea, this is baseline of what Microsoft's talking about for this new fiscal year for Microsoft. It's intelligent cloud and intelligent edge. I love this slide because it's foundationally what Dell EMC has been talking about for years. And intelligent cloud is still what you think intelligent cloud is. It's absolutely Azure, it's 365, and the modalities of using Azure services and all of that, and thumbs up, yes, it's fantastic. But intelligent edge is a really nice conversation point, and it's more than what you might think of. intelligent edge is like sensor data, Internet of Things. You know, there's the new Azure sensor devices and the things that Satya was talking about on Monday, and it absolutely is that. And then for many of you, you're probably thinking of, well, edge is mobile devices, you know, these things that we carry around, getting to be almost supercomputer smart sometimes. It kind of makes you wonder, they're carrying all this brain power in your pocket. And the answer is absolutely yes, mobile devices are part of that edge. And if I look up here, I see, you know, there's a Surface tablet, and many of you have laptops in the room and these client devices, and absolutely 100% yes. But there's also a big area that's part of intelligent edge, and many of us don't think about it, and I think many of our Microsoft friends in the field haven't quite gotten their heads around this. Intelligent edge is also something called Windows Server. That is absolutely an edge device. So as we're looking at the transition that's happening from Microsoft and the go-to-market that Microsoft's doing, from a Dell EMC perspective, we're like, this is foundationally exactly the story that we've been talking about as well. And the continued merger between Dell EMC and Microsoft around a collective story is becoming stronger and stronger. And so we're going to talk most of the conversation point around that idea as we transition from traditional infrastructure that for the last few decades has been an on-prem story around some management features on that, and we're starting to go into this edge mentality and the cloud modalities and a mind share change of what that is. This is all the reality, and it's not just futures. It's not just this pie in the sky idea. It's happening real. It's live, and it's actually probably a little bit more simple and understandable and digestible than you might think. So from a Dell perspective, I always like to make sure that we're level setting the playing field. You know, we're at Microsoft and Ignite, and we're going to be talking about Microsoft for this entire conversation. The reality is there's lots of hypervisors that are out there. And from a Dell EMC perspective, I'll say we love all of our children, right? But the world isn't entirely VMware, as much as many people like to have that be reality. And we do have solutions as we look from a vSphere perspective with vSAN and VX and fantastic products on that end. And from a mixed environment, there's absolutely some wonderful things that are out there for Flex, our partnerships with Nutanix. The conversation we're going to have here is specifically about Microsoft, and as we transition from the enablement features with Hyper-V and Windows Admin Center and Spaces Direct and all of that goodness, and if I look at it from a portfolio perspective, as I do a step beyond server and SAN, and I start to take advantage of this hypervisor goodness around hyper-converged, and I start to embrace this idea of software-defined goodness. And we've all been playing software-defined for over a decade. That's virtualization technology, right? We've been enabling and abstracting processors and memory, and now we're taking it a step down. We're doing the same thing for disk. We're doing the same thing for networking. And so as you get into something that's perceived as being complexity, it actually isn't that complex. It's just a mind share shift, and that's one of the things that we'll be talking about in the interview session, you have to make that paradigm change. You know, using Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, go back to that. You got paradigm change. That's an abused term, but you have to switch your mind as we're making this move from just a step beyond, I can build an infrastructure around hyper-converged all the way up to Azure Stack and literally running Azure behind the firewall. And then from a Dell EMC perspective is how do I do that enablement? How do I do that feature set? So we're very proud of the history that we've had around OpenManage and the ability for you to leverage that as an injection point. We've had a long history with System Center. Windows Admin Center is coming. We're working on it right now within our lab. There's some nice complexity there, and we're working with the engagement point of digesting Windows Server 2019. But thumbs up and the ability to do integration with that, as well as Azure Resource Manager, you will continue to see Dell EMC make deep investments into the Microsoft technologies to help enable you so that you have the control you need of managing your environment. I'm going to pivot a little bit onto SQL and talk about that because it's the biggest database that's out there. It's the most pervasive application. When we look at Microsoft telemetry data, they look at the application install base. It's SQL way up there, number 1, and everything drops off to number 2. And the reality, there's a bit of a conundrum that's out there when we look at infrastructure around how do I take this older architecture, and we look at SQL 2008, and it's like half of the install base, right? And we think about that the end of even extended support's less than a year. And then I have these requirements with, especially in the EU, with GDPR coming downstream. And it's like, I got to make some moves. But in the scenarios that I'm supporting that I need to be aware of, I'm myopically understanding that I'm running it off of existing infrastructure. I can't just walk away from that. But how do I address that? How do I make my migrations? How do I do my enablement around SQL 2017, SQL 2019? How do I do that and start making some of these more of the cloud modality digestions that are out there and switch to this idea of a cloud operating model and DevOps? And the thing that got me here over the last decade may not do me goodness as I look over the horizon for the future. How do I make that transition? And for some people, they think, well, I'm just going to have to jump into something, just jump into the deep end of the water, and I'm just going to just cloud everything. And I get that, and for some customers, they've done that. But for many customers, it's, I need to take small steps into that. I need to dip my toes and dip my feet, and then I get up to my knees. I need to do it in a measured instance to where I start evaluating and evolve into this idea. I can't just do a light switch turn. And that's what we're trying to help and digest, because if I think about from a Michael Dell point of view, the excitement that he has around this business that we have of merging both a Dell history and an EMC history, and you start talking about data and the Internet of Things, and it's all focused around the future of where our entire industry is going. You see the sparkling eyes with Michael at that point, talking about how do I do the analytics? How do I do the deep insights? How do I make this real and not just be fantasy land? How do I make that transition happen? And so we're going to spend the next half of the conversation talking about a real-world use case. And again, I want to make sure that I call out, if you have a question, that you come up to the mics, and let's be as interactive as you want it to be. I want this to be real, and that's the end of the PowerPoint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a video of a customer case study that we have from our friends with Candidator and KPMG. While the video plays, I'll invite them to come up and transition.
KPMG in Norway. It's a professional services firm. We want to make our internal delivery as simple as possible to be able to deliver on all the requirements that our business has. I think there is always going to be a requirement for hybrid, and data is going to move into the cloud and back again. When Microsoft Azure Stack surfaced, we thought that that may be the solution. Our business partner, Candidator, delivers our data center.
KPMG wanted to do less of the daily running of their data centers and do more of what they're good at. We looked at different type of stack technology, and we decided very quickly that Microsoft was the one furthest ahead. And together with a partnership with Dell EMC, we have a hardware provider we can trust, we have a software provider we trust. Azure Stack gives us the flexibility which we need for Candidator and the flexibility we need for onboarding larger customers.
The European data regulation, or the GDPR, is restricting how we handle all privacy data. What Azure gives us is a lot of good tools to identify the data, identify where we have any gaps, and help us mediate those gaps. Developers are developing in Azure today. You're going to present them a very unified environment where they can be sure that something that they do in one place can be used all over the place, and without having to package each of them specifically. Our business is transforming, and creating that value for the customer will be essential in the future.
All right, so my name is Michael Wells. I'm with Dell EMC. I'm part of the Azure Stack product group. And with me today, we have Ketil Netland from Candidator and Dag Jorgensen from KPMG. So just to kick off and get started, can you discuss a little bit about the existing environment and what you were coming from and what was kind of driving the need to change?
We have an infrastructure that is based on VBlocks in the back end, which is basically black boxes distributed in 2 data centers with the synchronization of the data, and quite complex setup for us, but still with virtualization on top of it, VMware, and the traditional way of presenting services to the business and to ourselves.
Okay. Can you discuss a bit about the direction you chose to go and what drove Azure Stack?
That legacy was coming up for renewal. It was kind of in the life cycle where it was we had to do something we had a project that aimed at 2020, but we basically had to do something before that with the back-end infrastructure, and we evaluated one of the options is just switching it for the newest version of the VBlock. That could have been a good option, but that didn't. That in a world where you have we had started to take out some services from Azure, and in that context, it looked a little or it seemed a little complicated to have a totally different management, totally different model on-premise, and then having to transform our services when we were going to the cloud. So basically that surfaced the idea a few years back where we and Azure Stack came up, and we thought, well, let's go down and explore that road. So we were quite early into that process when it was still in not in a general availability mode, but immediately when it came out for general availability, we wanted to partner up with somebody that could give us an opportunity to go in and test if that could be our future infrastructure for the backend.
Okay, so mainly being able to have the same team of developers doing the same patterns, the same practices, the same architectures, the same design principles, without having to think about things a different way when they're doing them on premises versus. That
was at least the thinking. So we were kind of betting on that would happen, and it was a little scary because kind of we didn't know that much about how this was going to look compared to Azure, and it was kind of. In the beginning, it looked quite different from what not in how it is when you look at it from a kind of a management perspective, but it looked different, and it looked that it was not going to deliver all the services, and it was kind of restrictions on it and so on. But then it started to when we then started to work with it turned out that actually it's Azure. And that was kind of that was the realization like last year when we realized that, then we decided this is our infrastructure, this is the backend infrastructure. So we had the kind of an idea that we are going to do Azure all over, and because and the question is then why not do it in Azure? It's a complex backend with a lot of applications that doesn't fit immediately. It's a complexity in it, and it's also data in it that we are uncertain about. It's not that much when you come down to it that is restricted, but you actually, when you don't have that classification on the data that is entirely correct, you have to revisit all that, and that's a very hard work when you are concerned about the privacy issues, the security issues, and so on, the confidentiality issues on your data, to move it to somewhere where somebody else has total control. So it's kind of that the driving force was to have an environment that was totally similar to what we are going to meet in Azure for a future move to Azure. Maybe 100%. I don't know. I have no idea. My bet is that we are going to move something to Azure and we're going to move it back again. So I'm betting that we will need on-premise for a long time yet. And since the old infrastructure was end of life, we were in kind of a hurry, so we had to do it immediately.
Okay. Kettle, do you want to talk a bit about how the Azure Stack was implemented and the design decision around how you were implementing SQL?
Well, for us, this is, is a bet for our side as well as Candidator. We saw Azure Stack coming up, and we decided very quickly that we have to look at it. And for us, it's more a discussion around stack technology and how we can provide that to our customers. So for us, it is a big discussion on, what can we deliver to our customer that gives them more value? How can we support their business? And how can we make sure that they do a better job with their customers? So when Azure Stack come up, we looked at it, we took it in pre-release and tested it. And then we presented it to KPMG. And for us, it is on-premise solution that we have to turn around to the stack, and we have to look at every application when we go through it.
So it's kind of like this iterative process where you take an application, do the analysis, do the figure out how best to implement.
You may move the application as it is. That's one option, but you then have to revisit this and look at it in the context of how are we going to then run this in the future, or if we are going to run it, in which kind of in which mode this is going to run, I think that that having the opportunity to it's hard because if we had changed our infrastructure to the same infrastructure that we have today, we could just lift and shift. It's just lifting it over. But since we now decided on doing it differently, we have to rethink every application that we do, and it's going to take a while. It's not going to be done tomorrow. It's going to take us a while to get everything over, and then we are going to do it all over again, and then we are going to flip it again, and then do it one more time. So it's kind of it's a real ongoing project that is going to go on for the next few years. The first stage is getting everything off the existing infrastructure, and then start looking at prioritizing the applications and the data, and see what data would need what type of services in the future. For instance, is this privacy data, would it need some controls around it that we can't deliver with our current infrastructure, and so on.
The solution that you've architected together allows those two to coexist side by side so that you can take this iterative approach and migrate those things that are going to leverage the cloud operating model and will benefit from those, and do this gradually instead of a big bang.
Well, it's a vision. It's about what you believe in is going to be in the future. So it's more a vision of, we think that Azure becomes, or cloud technology becomes, where every client of ours, customer of ours has to go. So for us, it's about having that vision, doing the plan, and then rolling out the hardware.
Yeah. So we've kind of talked about the applications part of it, and you'd mentioned the need driving the infrastructure was coming end of life. Can you talk a bit more about some of the application challenges that were forcing a change?
We run all the internal applications for first of all KPMG Norway, but also for the other Nordic firms. We run some key applications for them too. And one of the things that was pushing, at least a few years back, was pushing us was data analytics on audit. And data analytics on audit is kind of it's a big selling point for that to deliver more value from the audit perspective, either to make audits more efficient or deliver more information and value to the customers. And that made us have to put up very, very specific, very high performance infrastructure on the side of our own infrastructure to do this. And one of the things that those teams came back on was kind of, okay, now we want artificial intelligence or machine learning or whatever, and we didn't have that capability. There was no way that we could deliver that from the current infrastructure without doing huge investments in people and technology and knowledge. Of course, we then that's one of the points where we started using Azure, the Azure cloud, because that capability was already there. But some of that data is very, very confidential, and it's very, very hard to move. And so the thinking was that and also it's a point about where the data is. All the data was on our premise. It was kind of inside our firewall. So doing something outside the firewall is hard because you then have to move all the data, or you have to at least move the capabilities of analyzing it. We thought that if we can't bring the data and the applications to the cloud, we have to bring the cloud to the data. And that's where those capabilities came about, and Azure Stack fits that purpose.
Wonderful, thank you. With a bit of, we were talking a bit before about 2017 and now 2019, in challenges that you knew that you were going to have to tackle down the road, and kind of getting to the realization that the tool set that you've adopted and you've standardized on is, you're seeing these capabilities emerging in that tool set. And so now you have what you need to start to be able to solve those problems. So the next piece, if we could jump into the SoFi solution. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, please.
And at the bottom line, and are we going to save money down this path? But when you're looking at transformation, you're actually looking into the line of business and the way you're competing, your top line margins, how you can actually impact your ability to service your customers. What was the decision-making criteria from a cost and competitive advantage perspective when transitioning from a traditional architecture into something that was more nimble and agile?
And I think that was about the capabilities of the platform, that we didn't have that capability internally, and it would actually cost us a lot to establish that capabilities, and the capabilities was already out there, so they were coming to us and requesting it to be able to deliver more value to the customers. And we have seen in the last 5 years a shift from servicing the internal organization to servicing the customers. And maybe we have a lot of solutions that actually do that, but they're very arm length. They're very kind of not interacting with the customer. They deliver something and we keep it for some time and then deliver back. The technologies that were coming and the requests coming from the inside, and the fact that the company is moving from a business model that is basically delivering people to organizations that need their competence to delivering assets or delivering type of applications or insight we could probably have built that on an older or a traditional type of infrastructure, but it was so much easier to realize in this type of infrastructure. So it was a kind of the business case was talking about that, that this have an opportunity and a side of it that is going to generate revenues for a future. We didn't really know what that future was, and we didn't really, the firm didn't have very articulated strategies for us to go for. So we had to just think about, well, okay, where will we get the most flexibility and have most of the capabilities that could support the firm in the future without really knowing what that was. That was kind of the biggest one a few years back. Now they have articulated it, but kind of this is going back and forth. So based on that infrastructure, they now see all the capabilities, and then now they realize things that we haven't done before. We have projects that do on-demand audit, continuous audit. We have projects that delivers totally different services today than they did just a few years back.
So your executive team was fairly forward-thinking, because if you don't have the complete model built, which is tough to do in this type of industry,
It is.
then there's a significant risk in going down this path, because the cost is going to be significant upfront in making the transition.
That's correct.
It's also a discussion around, you have to do one investment every 5 years. So it's also about IT going to their management saying, I want $3 million every 5 years to have this infrastructure in place. So for us, it was more about offering something. We say, here's a pay-as-you-go model. You pay for what you get, and you can put the right bill to the right section of your company.
But before we jump too far ahead, can you talk a little bit about how SQL Server, you chose to implement SQL Server with Azure Stack to be able to meet the needs of the reporting and analytics?
Yeah. So for us, SQL Server, of course, and for KPMG, is one of the most, we have it everywhere. And when we looked at the capabilities of SQL and we were going to implement it with KPMG, we have chosen to put it on the outside of the Azure Stack and provide it as a resource into the Azure Stack. The reason for doing that is that we want high performance. These guys eat IOPS for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so we needed to get performance that was out of this world. We are a little bit, at this stage, a little bit limited with inside the Azure Stack on the VMs we are allowed to use. So that's one of the reasons we chose to do this. It also gives us an environment which we can cluster and we can have DR capabilities. And the DR capabilities is a discussion because you come from a VNX environment where you are used to metro clusters and you can move your VMs around as you want. When you come into the application discussion, you kind of look at the application and go, do you really need to have this 99 and 5 nines or 3 nines or whatever? So when you have that discussion with the customer, you kind of end up, maybe not. Do you really want to pay for this? We try to reduce costs by getting, use SQL and cluster it up and take care of the data.
Okay. So you're leveraging SQL Server instances that are outside of Stack, but are connected in using the SQL Server resource provider for Azure Stack.
Yeah, they are.
Related to that, yesterday evening we had a discussion with the data analytics team from KPMG Norway down here, and we had that discussion yesterday evening actually over pina coladas. Yeah, very good. They're concerned about the penalty they get by having SQL outside, and because that requires some connection into the. So the first thing I think we agreed yesterday that we are going to try it inside the Azure Stack, but that's a fairly new discussion, and it's evolving all the time. So we need to be kind of nimble and keep all options open and be testing it. That's also a good reason for having something that you have that type of control over, and that alliance we have with Candidator that gives us that flexibility to test out a few ideas without just incurring a lot of cost. They were talking about yesterday that the last time they tested in Azure, it costed them like $25,000 a month just for the testing because of the intensity of the applications they have. And that we could probably re-architect that solution to do something differently by having it closer to us and testing in a more controlled way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for us, it's about providing the testing environment for them and making sure that they don't run into, where you can go to different sections of the company and say, you can come to me and you can test it, instead of, committing to the
$1 million SQL cluster. But it's also about the new functionality coming in SQL. You know, we were yesterday in the SQL server, and they presented that they are moving machine learning down at the database level. And we go, whoa, this could be exciting. So what we see with Azure Stack is that we get different types of possibilities and are able to, you know, suddenly use them. As before, we had to install the software, buy a server, do the whole thing to get the same capabilities. And for us, as a service provider, you know, that is heaven, because we can go to the customer and say, do you want machine learning on database level? Well, it's there. So it makes life easier for us as well.
Great, thank you. Jumping in, let's talk about the future state and how you've been able to leverage this technology to enhance the services that you can provide your customers. Yeah,
we're already delivering some services with the Azure infrastructure, and some of it is bringing kind of insight in the data that we get from the customer back to the customer, and also giving them an opportunity to enhance that experience of the data, then and from our perspective, then demanding more services, asking for different types of services that we don't necessarily deliver to them today. And we capitalize on that with some solutions that we already have out there, which is data analytics centric. From the we have audit and advisory and tax, and especially the tax part of the business is now rolling out a few solutions. Some of them will probably be not be that successful, but some of them will probably be, and that's also kind of a challenge for us. We having that type of capability that we have in an Azure environment, without having to invest a lot upfront, makes it possible for us to test out different scenarios with the customers. We have a few customers that are very close to us that we can actually go to and test these. So doing the audit, the continuous audit type of thing, doing totally, we can today we can do a nearly 100% automated audit. We can do all the audits using machines, no people involved, just an end result and some sign-off. Not all customers are ready for that, and some of them are regulated and need some other stuff. But we are thinking about expanding that to this fall. 7,000 customers are going to go into that, and we are going to do kind of automated audits on 7,000 of the customers. And that's a big step for us. We have done it on like 200 last year in a proof of concept type of way, but we have actually done it on real data. It's too early for us to say that we can move that to Azure, so we are doing it on Azure Stack instead, because of the complexity of the data and a very, very restrictive risk management on it. Even if probably it could be qualified to go to public Azure or kind of a kind of public Azure. It's too hard for a small organization like us to qualify that easily. So we're just putting it in our Azure Stack and waiting for the global organization to take the hard work of making that possible to then move it out. But the only difference I see between Azure Stack and Azure is kind of scaling, that you can hyperscale, or you can scale it in a totally different way than you can do on premise. Besides that, I don't see any differences today between those two environments, and I'm offering it up to our internal customer as it was Azure in a normal way. They won't know the difference. They don't care. Mm-hmm. And the solutions they are going to build they have some project calling Lighthouse, where they produce solutions for customers. They either by customer requirement or something they want to go out there and sell as a solution. That's going to start ramping up now and really have that type of infrastructure in the back end, giving them all the capabilities they didn't have last year.
Okay. Being able to have a standard infrastructure in place that you can leverage functionality as it becomes available without having to build out new infrastructure to do it.
And I'm kind of surprised how fast this actually goes. We were sitting a year ago and thinking about the differences in the two platforms. Now we're more looking at the similarities and how fast they actually give the capabilities in Azure into, or present those into Azure Stack. And I think the teams I have working on managing this has to get their head around it. So it's about, like Steven said, your perspective or how you're thinking needs to change. That takes some time. And it's good for them to do that in a kind of a safe environment and experiment on them on their own than having them going out and suddenly we have to follow the costs very closely on something else. And certainly when we are letting the business teams loose on the platforms, that's going to require a lot from our side because we have been in total control of all the stages of development and QA and then publication of whatever we have done. We were expecting that to happen without us being involved at that level in the future. So that needs to be, we need to train to do that. We need to be good at giving away that type of control and still have the ability to follow what's happening.
Right. Still have the oversight.
And it's also about providing a stepping stone for the whole organization. So from Candidator, we look at the Azure Stack as a stepping stone into the cloud. So when we have discussions with our clients about it, it's about what application can we move to the cloud and what application has to stay in the stack for different reasons. It could be regulatory, it could be, like you guys, and it could be a lot of reasons. But I think thinking about it as a stepping stone is the most important thing for us.
Okay. So can we dive into a little bit about the infrastructure maintenance around Azure Stack and how it's helping you to provide value for your organization and for your customers?
Well, for us, the support structure which we get both from Microsoft and Dell is important because we have customers like KPMG on the other end here, and they demand, good service, uptime, and for us it's important that we deliver a product 24/7. We gotta be there, and we need to have someone looking out for our back as well in this. And pro support is, we go one place, we drop the ticket in, and and then it's done. And we get the help we need to get. So it's a feeling of somebody having your back at all times, and for our people who work with it, who actually only sell it, but also has to do the job. And we had a good experience with it. We've had a 13G, so we had a generation before this, and the 13G, we've really tried out the support function because it was early. We were one of the first in Europe to adopt it, and of course, as everything is new, it's going to get some trouble in it. We have in Candidator our own managing software, which is Sendot, but for us, Dell EMC Open Manage is what we use in the background here. So it delivers all the information we need, and it gives us control we need, both of the hardware and software and everything which runs there.
Okay, great. And you guys just recently had a 14G implementation as well.
We did. You wanted to bring that up now, did you? We just implemented the 14G. Actually, it finished yesterday or the day before. A little bit unsure. It must be the pina coladas. But it was the day before, and it went green straight away. Quickest implementation they've done so far. So it develops there as well. So we went from the 13G we had on site for almost 11 days. We were now on site for 3 days for Dell EMC. So it helps. So we are hoping that 14G is as good as that, continues that.
And I think that's kudos to the platform, but it's also kind of, we have learned a lot, and seeing that going green immediately is kind of, it's very satisfying. It's a good thing, because we're betting on this. We're betting on that this is going to be the future platform. This is going to be where we are going to live. This is where I'm going to survive as kind of a IT delivery for a firm that is changing. I need to have that total confidence in that platform, that platform will be there and service me for the next X years. And of course, because we came from a EMC, VMware, black box environment, it's not a big change for us to having somebody just manage the platform for us. That's okay. That's how my team operates. The big change will come when they are going to give away their control on the servers, they are going to give on their applications, and they're going to be hands-off on a lot of this. But that's going to be flipping the stack. We are going to do this in iterations in a lot of them, and spend a lot of time the next years following the evolution path, which I call it, the kind of going down the road to be as modern as possible.
I think that's one of the most important things. This is not a drop it in, install it, go from there. This is a project we are estimating 2-3 years before we really get there. We're going to start using different services. We're going to flip the stack again. We're going to do PaaS and ES and all the services we can, and it's a different way of thinking. And I think in the discussions with KPMG, that's one of the most difficult things we did, because we had to stop thinking about servers. And when you're thinking about servers for 25 years, 50 years together, they come up all the time. We need a server. No, we don't. And I think the change in how you think and what you deliver to the customer and how you deliver it, that's the big challenge. And it's a challenge for the organization as well, which you put it into, because they have to think different. They are used to thinking about gigs and cores, and this you say, no, we don't think about that. You want SQL? Here's SQL. That's what you get.
Yeah, it is quite the shift from thinking about implementing and what I need to implement this on a server, and when you take all of that away and just focus on the application or the service itself, and it's just, all right, what do I need for that application to run, not all of the other stuff that we used to have to deal with around it. And to your point about the handing over control to the users to enable and empower the users to be able to do things for those cases where they need to do a virtual server, you have the guardrails in place that you can set limits on what they can do, so they're not just running away with everything, but then also by exposing it as services, allowing them to push applications and to consume services, you're enabling them without giving up the control or introducing risk into the environment. So can you talk a little bit about the software side of the administration, so like Windows Admin Center and how you're doing the monitoring piece and the efficiencies you're getting there?
Well, for us to, what we're looking for here is an end-to-end optimization. That's what we're looking for. We don't want to, we want to see the results, and we want to see what goes wrong when it goes wrong, and we want to get the alerts out there as fast as possible. So for us, it is a decision that we need to use the tools which is there and not try to install something else on top of it, which would be, springs out from every technician. I want what I've used for the last 10 years. So what we see with 13G is, which we have in production with customers on, we're running 4 or 5 banks on them, and it really works well for us. We get the messages, we get it when we need it, and we use our front-end tool on top of this just to deliver the messages into our systems. So works really well, gives us the information we need, and we can, we have a 24/7 people sitting looking at it 24/7. So for us, it's important that we can see trends, that we can see what's happening and how people are growing, and especially in a multi-tenant solution. And when you have banks on the other end as well, you know, downtime from banks is not very popular. Credit cards need to work.
Absolutely. So, and can we kind of look into where you plan to take this? What do you see in the future for this?
Well, this depends on two things. One is the development, of course, but it looks like it's going really well. It's going faster than we ever thought it was going to be. I don't think me or Dag thought that we would be so far ahead at this stage. For Candidator, this is where we are going forward. We're going to provide a stepping stone for our customers on what we, to get them to the cloud. Everyone goes to their board, and the board comes down to the CEO and says, cloud first. And everyone in the technical department looks at each other, yeah, right. We're trying to build an ecosystem of Azure Stack. So today we have 2 in Norway. We are getting 1 in Sweden. We are building an ecosystem where you can fail over between them, where we can use the Azure Stack to, you know, from multi-tenant solution to dedicated solution, which KPMG has. And it's a question of giving our customers the best of both worlds. So you know, we can, I think I've stolen this from Dag, but it's about moving the data out to the cloud and back again. And out to the cloud, what we mean then is you can process heavy loads in the cloud and bring your data back again. Now, we are touched by GDPR in Europe, so we are depending on, you know, having some of the data locally. So we are going to continue to develop this offering, and we have put a lot of money into it, and we are really making sure that this is going to be the new one, even though it is cannibalizing some of the business we've already done. But that is how it is, you know.
It's better that you cannibalize it than somebody else does it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, but back to the management, and that was kind of one of the ideas, to having a common management on all the platforms, all the places we are going to be creating services, and having that one view into how the teams are going to manage this was extremely important, and that would have been harder. Not impossible, but harder to realize without having Azure all the way. That's kind of also a good point.
Absolutely. You don't want to be having to go into 5 different systems to be able to see what's going on across the environment.
That's true.
All right. Any other questions from the audience? Or? Sure. If you wouldn't mind, come up to the mic so that you. It's not just that; it's the sessions are being recorded as well.
Sir, thank you so much. That's very interesting that you're sharing your experience. Framework question for me: you decided to go with Azure Stack. It's a similar issues we're wrestling with in our enterprise. So you, I'd like to know when you succeeded on day one, you know, with a functioning Azure Stack environment. Was that a year ago, 2 years ago? And from that point, how much of your legacy architecture have you actually shifted to Azure Stack? Is it 2 apps, or is it 50% of your enterprise?
Right now, it's 2 apps, kind of that.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, because this is we had, as Ketil said here, G13, and didn't really risk having production on that one, so we were sitting waiting for the G14, and when that was installed, and that actually the move has been planned and is starting 1st of October. So we're very, very close to do a lot more. We have done testing, but not production. We have production of, we have 2 apps in that. We have some data and some applications that are running, but not in production mode.
Great. And as a sort of follow-up, have you had any surprises yet? Was there anything that
It's early days.
And I'm sure that
it's early days. It's when you come down to the details, you're going to have a lot of surprises. But from the first iteration of this is going to be very similar, like taking something from here and doing it in a kind of nearly the same way here before we do the next iteration on it. So we're not expecting that much. We're also expecting to sorry, to do have some issues in the beginning, but iron those out. And by end of this year, we are going to, I think, be able to do a lot more than we are going. We're going very, very easy on the first ones, and very concerned about all the details. And we have the business on board, discussing with them the risks of this, doing this, and flipping it over to production and so on. We have to, and if we're not, I mean, it's going to be a very sad day if I have to do an additional year of support on my old VBlock. That happens in March. So by March, I have to be over, or I have to do something about the old infrastructure with the MNS on that one. So we have some tight timelines from here now and going forward. But I have a team that has been kind of practicing this a little, but not on the real applications in productions. They have just 2 very, very small applications, and we have spent the summer doing all the network that we have to, because we are running 2 simultaneous infrastructure and so on. We are changing some IPs on something, and we are, yeah, it's a lot.
what I expected.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
It's also a question of when you implement this, as I said to Doug from day one, this is going to go wrong. It's just a question of when. So this is not a, this is not a, to get a customer like KPMG in and they say, let's go. But it's also about what was the alternative. So the alternative for Doug at this stage was to choose the same technology for another 5 years and no development, or very limited. Or you go in and you choose Azure Stack and you come to the point where, okay, this is the future. So it is a bet. We could lose this. We did one in 2002 on VMware. So we did well there. So yeah, we think we're right again.
I appreciate the candor. It's a journey. Yeah.
I think Stephen here said something about the yellow brick road and the castle in the end. And when we started this, we didn't see the castle. We just saw the beginning of the road. And that's kind of, and you have to walk down. And hopefully it will end up in that castle. Yeah. Yeah, Emerald City.
Thanks, guys.
When you guys were first starting to go down the route of getting your on-prem cloud stuff together, what led you down the path of picking an engineered solution versus buying commodity hardware and just trying to build your own stack up from ground up?
Yeah, that was an easy choice because Microsoft tried to come out with Azure Stack about 2 years before that, and we all know how that went. But understand your question. For a provider, so KPMG is in our data center. We're within their network. So for us, it's a question of we want stability. We want someone we can trust, and we need what we talked about before today. We need the support on the hardware side. So to build something as business critical as this on, by your own hardware thing would be. I would not sleep good at night. And where they come from, so the VNX VBlock is extremely, it's certified every cable, every nut and bolt. So you kind of go, no, I couldn't do that. But,
no, it's not an option. So it's first of all, we're part of a global organization with like 200,000 people working in that organization, a global organization for IT. They do their stuff. They have chosen Azure as their preferred platform for delivering the KPMG specific services that we take out. So we actually have 3 Azure instances. We have the on-premise instance, we have the KPMG tenant in Azure, and we have Azure Cloud or Azure, and doing something differently would be kind of stupid, because in that type of environment we can source a lot of assistance, and hopefully they will certify more and more of our deliveries from the public cloud going forward, but we're not taking that on a small organization in a small country with like 5 million people. That's not going to happen. So doing something totally different would have been kind of not a choice, actually.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, in that case, I will hand it back over to Stephen.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Kettle. Really appreciate them being up here. So I've done a number of presentations and death by PowerPoint. We could do that, but I love the idea that we could take the time here and talk about reality. And it isn't always pretty, right? And there's some iterations, there's some evolutions, but it's real. And so while we think about the, I'll double click into the analogy of the Wizard of Oz, right? I like the analogy of the yellow brick road, because it's an evolutionary path that KPMG and Candidator's on that most of you literally are on. And to recap really quickly, they're coming from an infrastructure that needs to be migrated with older applications, with older hardware. They're taking that and they're moving their SQL clusters into new hyper-converged environments. And then, as you heard, consuming that as a resource. Because Azure Resource Manager, that middle word, resource, let's leverage this as a resource. And then doing all kinds of amazing functionality regarding hybrid cloud and Azure Cloud and Cloud Edge and all the buzzword terms that we're hearing throughout this entire week here. It is reality. From a Dell perspective, this is something that we're seeing, not only over the horizon, but it's becoming real. And while we are solidly invested in infrastructure and converged infrastructure, and we have fantastic solutions from existing SAN technologies, and for those of you that determine that there's the replication goodness around SQL, and I want to do something around Extreme IO and PowerMax and infrastructures like that, and you're not ready to quite make the leap forward in some of the discussions we had with KPMG, fantastic. We can do that with the eye to where you're going. But for some of you, it may be, no, I need to do some of this new modalities, and we're there with you as well. So we like to talk about how we're number one in a whole bunch of different things. And every one of you in the audience is on a different path. And the yellow brick road that you're going down that leads to the Emerald City of this Nirvana idea can be real for each and every one of you. And I love the example here, and I'm so tickled that we were able to have Candidator and KPMG here, because this is a discussion I know I personally am going to have with just about every customer I talk to for probably the next couple of years. Because it's not something that you just jump off the deep end into the deep water. I mean, companies that were able to do that have probably already done it. It's a journey, it's an evolution, it's step by step, it's mindful. And throughout that entire process, from a Dell EMC perspective and in close ties with our partners, and Candidator is a wonderful example, we want to help you move from where you are to where you're going. Assess as is and to be, and how do we help you on those individual steps. So really appreciate the opportunity for you to hear live what's happening in the real world, not just the pretty PowerPoint pictures. If you'd like to know more, we have a gigantic booth down there on the expo floor. We're about to walk down there. We're going to do some videos down there, doing a number of customer videos today. But we would love to host you within the Dell EMC booth to have conversations on this or all the other things that we have there. We have client devices, we have software, we have services, and we have within the infrastructure team the topics that we talked about here, experts there throughout the day today and throughout the day tomorrow. And for many of you, if you're in this audience, you probably already have the invite for the event tonight. Make sure you get your little bracelet. I know that we're already maxed out on people that have signed up, so you need that bracelet to attend. But come and hit some golf balls with us and perhaps maybe a pina colada with our friends at KPMG and Candidator. So if there's any more questions, I think we literally have like maybe 5 minutes. If there's anything that wasn't addressed that you want to follow up on, feel free to bring that up. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and, any questions at all? Okay, in the interest of time, don't want to take up every bit of time, give you a few minutes back. Really appreciate you being here. Greatly appreciate KPMG and Candidator. Thank you, Michael, for hosting the interview. Thank you all, really appreciate it.